Hello everyone, welcome to another video on our Python tutorial playlist. So today we'll be discussing on the list data type in Python. We'll be looking on how to create lists, how to index and slice in lists, and the various methods and functions that work with lists in Python. So if you're a beginner or a newbie and you want to learn how to work with Python programming language to analyze data, make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel as I'll be creating more videos in regards to this content. Okay, so also drop your comments, your questions in the comment sections as I'll be answering each and every one of them. So without wasting time, let's dive right in.
List allows us to work with sequential data. List is also a data type in Python. So just as the name implies, list allows us to work with a list of values. For example, let's say we want to create a list of school items. So to create a list, first let's initiate our variable called items. Our list will be created using square brackets, and within the bracket each value we want will be separated using comma. Okay, so since we are creating a list of school items, let's say books, pen, bag, eraser, and socks. Okay, so we just created a list containing 5 different school items, and we can go ahead and call our list and say let's print our items. And if we run this, you'll see we have a list that contains our items, right? So we can also go ahead to find the length of the content of our list. For example, we have 5 items on this list, but imagine we have a list that the items was about 100 or longer than that. We can go ahead and count one by one. So we can use the length function to find the length of the list. So we can say, let's say, get the length. We can say we want to print, and we use the len function, which signifies the length function, to get the length of our item. And you could see it gave us 5, which is, if we count 1 2 3 4 5, so we have 5 various items within our list. Okay, we can also access the values in our list by adding a square bracket and inserting the location of the values you need. This is also known as indexing, and remember, indexing always begin at the value 0. So since we have our list that is called items, we can decide to access any value within this list. So for example, if I want to get our bag from our list, I can get that value of bag by using indexing. I remember what I talked about indexing in our previous classes, when I said when you are indexing, you begin at the value of 0. So books here will be at the value of 0, pen will be 1, and bag will be 2. So if we pass our 2 into square brackets by the side of by the name of our list variable, and print this at, we'll get our bag item. So if I go ahead and print this, so you could see we got bag, right? So that's how you can access any value within your list by using indexing. In indexing also, you can also use negative indexing, just like the way we said indexing start at the value of 0. You can also start your indexing at -1, but when you start at use -1, you are indirectly indexing from the back of your list. So if I say what I mean by that is, if I say print our items and I call -1, it's going to give me the last value in my list, which is socks. So if I go ahead and run this, you could see we got socks. So when you are starting your indexing from the back, you start at -1, -2, -3, -4, -5. But when you want to start at the front of your list, at the beginning of your list, your indexing value should start at 0. Okay. Also, if you try to access an index that does not exist, an index value error will be returned. For example, if you look at this our list, it only contains 5 values, meaning our index value will stop at 4 since it begins at 0. So if I go ahead and I want to access an index value of 5, it's going to give me an index error because we don't have any item or that it's at 5. Our index value stops at 4. Okay, so if we're accessing an index value of 5, it's already more than the limits or more than the items in our list, so it's going to give me a value error. So you could see we have an index error. List index is out of range. Okay, but if I go ahead and change this to 4 and run this again, you see it's going to give me the last value in my list, which is socks. So 4 is for socks. Since we don't have any value after socks and I'm calling 5, I'll get an error. Okay, so if I do this again, you see we get an list index out of range error. Okay, so aside from just accessing one item in your list, I can decide to say, okay, I want to get pen, bag and eraser. I don't just want to get only pen from my list, I want to get these 3 values. So the process of doing that is called slicing, and you also have to make use of your indexing also when you are slicing. But this time around, you have to specify your start index value and your ending index value, putting in mind that the ending index value is not usually inclusive when you are slicing. So we can say want to print items and want to start at pen, want to get pen, bag and eraser, right? And remember that your index value at the beginning is usually 0, so books will be at the value of 0 and pen will be at 1. So we want to start our indexing at 1 because we want to get pen and we want to get pen, bag, eraser. So if pen is 1, bag is 2, eraser is going to be 3. And remember I said the last value is not inclusive. So if I go ahead and say I want to get 1 to 3, it's just going to give me pen and bag because the last value, which is 3, is not going to be inclusive. So let me run this so that you get what I'm saying. So you see we got pen and bag. Okay, so if I want to get eraser inclusive, I have to extend this by 1, okay, to the next value. So I will get pen, bag and eraser, and it's just going to ignore the last value, which is supposed to be socks, because it's not being inclusive when you are slicing. So always remember, when slicing, our first index is our starting point, while the second index is not inclusive. You can also decide to write this as if I want to start my slicing from the beginning, let me call this slicing first of all. Okay, so if I want to get all values from the beginning, or I can say items and I wouldn't specify any index value. Okay, then I can just say I want to stop at 4. So this technically means if I don't specify any value before the colon, it means I want to start at the beginning. It's just like me saying, okay, I want this to be 0. Okay, so if I go ahead and run this, both will give me same answer. So you can see I got books, pen, bag and eraser for both. So I can either say I want to start from 0 to 4, okay, with the 4th item not being inclusive, or I can just leave it out, because if I leave it out, it means I'm starting at the beginning. So same thing for ending your slicing also. So if I want to end my slice, I can say I want to get items and I want to start from the beginning and not specify the ending value. So it means go from 0, which is the first item, all to the end or the extreme of the list. So if I go ahead and run this, you could see now we got socks inclusive because we asked it to go to the extreme. I need all the items within the list, so that's for that. So I can either write this statement like this, or I can also write it as this. I want to print our items and just put in your colon. So if you place in your colon without specifying a starting value and also an end value, it means you want to get your entire list returned back to you. So you're technically saying starts from the beginning and go all the way to the end of my list and return those items for me. So if I go ahead and run this, let's scroll down a bit, so you could see we got same values. So this is what we call slicing. Okay, next we'll be looking at some methods that we can use when working with our list data type in Python. So firstly, we'll look at the append method. Okay, the append method is used to add values to our list. So for example, we can decide to add more values to our already existing list. So for example, we have our items list. So if I say let's go ahead and print items again so that we could see the contents of our list. So we have our items list that contains books, pen, bag, eraser, and socks. What about if I want to add more items or more values to this list? I want to add pencil and other things to this list. How do I go about that? I can use the append method to be able to add any other item which I want to my list. Okay, so I can do that by saying our items dot append and call the name of what you want to append to this list. So let's say this time around we want to fill in biro. Okay, so go ahead and print this and say print items, and if I run this piece of code, we'll get a list back but with our biro added to the list which we've created earlier. So you could see biro has been added to our list now. Okay, if you want to insert value to a particular position in your list, you can also use the insert method. The insert method takes two arguments: the index location in the list where you want to insert this new value and the value you want to insert into the list. So our insert method, so let's say for example we want to add another value to this list, okay, but want to place it at a specific position between pen and bag. So I want to put in pencil and I want my pencil to be between pen and bag. Okay, so I can use the insert method to do this by calling items dot insert, and we said our insert method takes into argument the position of the item you want to insert. So let's say we want to insert, so this is going to be books is 0, pen is 1, so want to insert between pen and bag, so it's going to be position 2, right? And what do we want to insert? We want to insert pencil. Okay, so let's go ahead and print our items once more to see the changes that must have taken place, right? So let's run this, and you could see now that we have pencil just between pen and bag. Use the insert method to insert a value to a particular position in our list. Next, we'll be looking at the extend function. So just like we have the append method, we also have the extend function. Okay, the extend method. Okay, with extend, we can add multiple value as a list to our list. So let's call the extend. Okay, so we can use the extend to add a list containing multiple values to another list. Okay, so let's say we have a list 2. Let's call this extra. Okay, and let's say this extra contains shoes, a drawing book, and a ruler, right? And we want to add these items, which is in our second list called extra, to our first list, our first school item list. Okay, so we can say items dot extend, and let's call our extra. Okay, so you can see that we've technically added all the items in this list to the values in our previous list called items. So you can see what we have here. Next, we'll be looking at how we can remove value from our list. For example, if I want to remove, let me say, ruler from this list, I want to remove shoes from this list, we can use the remove method to do that. So you can call our remove method and say, okay, the name of our list, which is items, and say we want to remove, and what do you want to remove from the list? We want to remove shoes, right? So we can go ahead and do this, and if we go ahead and print our items list to see, okay, let's see if it has been removed, right? So you can see our list has been reduced, and we don't longer have shoes within this list any longer. So aside from remove, we can also use the pop method also to remove an item from a list, or to pop an item out of a list. The difference between using the remove and the pop item is that the pop method, we also grab the item that was popped out of the list. Okay, so I can say I want to let's call this our item popped, and say our items, and call the pop method, and we want to pop out, so want to pop out or want to remove socks from this list. So to do that, we just have to get the index value of socks, which is going to be 5. So let's count 0 1 2 3 4 5. So you could see 5 is going to be written within this open and close bracket, okay, to specify the index value of that item you want to pop. Okay, so we can go ahead and print our list and also print our item pop to see if we're able to grab the item we wanted to pop out. Okay, so you could see our new list, and within this our new list, socks is no longer inclusive, and you could see that if we check our item pops, it correctly picked out socks for us. Okay, so next we'll be looking at how we can sort our list in various methods. The reverse method sorts our list in a reverse order. For example, let me create another list and call this numbers, because this list will contain numbers. Okay, so let's say we have 1, 2, 4, 3, 6 and 5. So we have an unordered list, right? And we want to sort this, so we can say, because we want to sort this in a reverse order, right? And print our list called numbers. Okay, so let's run this. So you can see it's going to start from 5, 6, 3, 4, 2, 1. So it gives us a backward reading of our list. Okay, so let's call this using our reverse. Okay, so that's how we can rearrange our list from back to front. So technically I can also use slicing to reverse this list by saying okay, let me just copy this again. And say so you remember when you are specifying say you want to start from the beginning up to your end, and we have what we call step. So want to step by -1, meaning want to count from back to front. Okay, so if I go ahead and run this, you could see we got same thing, 5, 6, 3, 4, 2, 1. So it's technically slicing all values in this list, but it's starting from the back to the front. Okay, so aside from the reverse method, another method where you can sort your list is, or where you can arrange your list, is using the sort method. Okay, so using the sort method, we can sort our list in an alphabetical reverse order. We can also add reverse arguments equal to true within the sort method. So we can say we want to, using our first list, which was items, so we can go ahead and print this again so that we would know our list is still intact. Okay, so sorry about that. So we want to call the sort method on our list, so we can say items dot sort. Okay, and let's run this. Well, let's print our items. So we can go ahead and call the print function on our items dot sort. Okay, and you could see this was what we had previously when we called our print. I had book, pen, pencil, and now when we use the dot sort method, you could see it has been arranged. We have bag coming first, books, then drawing book, and etc. So we can also sort in reverse order, meaning you want to arrange your list but you want it to be in a descending order. Okay, so we can also say items dot sort, but this time around we are going to specify that we want it to be in a reverse order by putting in an argument called reverse and setting this to true. Okay, so we can go ahead and print our items. So we can see the difference between three of them. So using the reverse equal to true, we started from ruler, then pencil, then pen, eraser, and so on. So it's arranged it from the end to the beginning. So to get a sorted version of a list without altering the original list, we can make use of the sorted function. For example, we can say, So you could see that previously when we're using the sort method, we were altering our original list, which was items. But if we don't want to alter the original list, and if we want to get a sorted version of the original list without altering the original version, we can go ahead and use the dot sorted function. So we can use the sorted function, sorry. So we can say let's call this sorted, and we can say sorted and call items, right? But to do this, we have to equate this to a variable. So let's say we'll call this our sorted item. Okay, and we can now go ahead and print our sorted item. Okay, so before I print this, first of all, I want to print our list so that we'll know what our original list looked like, and this is our original list. Okay, so we'll print our original list, then we'll print our sorted item, and we print our original list again, and let's see if it changed or if it remained the same. Okay, so let's run this. Oh, sorry, always remember to use small letter P. Let's run this. So you could see at the beginning our items list was ruler, pencil, pen, eraser, drawing book, books and bag. Okay, and when we call the sorted items on it, instead of changing our initial list, which was items, it's just rearranged our list for us, but we created, or we didn't have to alter the original list. We just created another list that was sorted from our original list. That's why if we call the original list once more, we'll get the previous values, which was arranged the way it was in the original list. Okay, I hope you got that. Okay, and this is very useful because most times we might not want to alter the content of our original list. Some other functions we'll be looking at is using the min, max and the sum functions. The min function can be called in a list to give the minimum value in our list. For example, just like we'll be using this our previous list, which was numbers, right? So let's copy this and we come down and paste it here. So we'll be looking at the main. So we'll be looking at the main function. So we can use this to get the minimum value in our list, and if we do that, our minimum value will be 1. So we can just go ahead and say we want to print the minimum value in our numbers list, and it will give me 1, right? So we can also say we want to see the maximum value in our list, and say we want to print the maximum value in our numbers list, and we'll get the maximum value of 6. And we can also say we want to add all the items in this list, and say we want to print a sum of the values in our numbers list. Okay, so it's going to be 6, 5 plus 6 plus 3 plus 4 plus 2 plus 1. So it's going to go ahead and add all the values for us, and we'll get 21. Next, we'll be looking at the index method. It is used to get the index value in our list. For example, if we want to find the index of pen in our item list, we can use the index method to do that. Okay, so we can say let's use our sorted list this time around. So if we print sorted, okay, so get okay, let's call this sorted item. Okay, so now we want to get the index value of eraser, right? So we can go ahead and print sorted item, dot index and specify. So we want to get the index value of pen. So you could see it's 4. So if we count 0, 1, 2, 3, so it's just at the place of 4. If we call or check for a value that cannot be found in our list, the index value error will be returned. Lastly, we'll be looking at using in within a list. We can use the in statement to check if a value can be found in a list, and it returns either true or false statement. For example, to check if pen is in our list, you could see that we've already removed pen from this list. So if I want to confirm if pen has been removed from our list, I can say let's go ahead and print pen. So we're technically asking, is pen in our list called sorted item? So it's going to return true or false. So you could see true because our pen is still in our list. Okay, so if you could remember our previous list, which was called items, we removed shoes from it, right? So if I go ahead and print our previous list, which was items, we would not find shoes in it because it was removed earlier. We removed it earlier. So if we go ahead and ask it to print and check if shoes is in our items list, it's going to give us false because it's no longer in this list. So you can see it gave us false. So this is all we'll be looking at for today. This brings us to the end of this video. Remember to like this video if you find it resourceful or if you learned something today. If you have any question or comment, kindly drop it in the comment section, as I'll be answering every one of our comments. Or if you have a particular topic you want us to discuss about in regards to Python, and kindly drop your suggestion on the comment box so I can make a note on that. Also subscribe to my channel for more content, as I'll be creating more video on our Python tutorial playlist. In our next video, we'll be looking at tuples and sets in Python. Okay, so bye for now.